of baseball and racing uniting today across the state of Tennessee with the announcement of the next big event coming to Bristol Motor Speedway.
The MLB Speedway Classic will feature a Major League Baseball game inside the walls of the last great Coliseum next summer. We have team coverage from Heather Williams, Cole Johnson, Lauren Bradford, Casey Getz. They've all been on top of this announcement all day. Cole will lead us off from Bristol Motor Speedway.
That's right, guys. It'll be called the MLB Speedway Classic, and it'll mark another historic day in Bristol, Tennessee, clashing racing and baseball for one special day at Bristol Motor Speedway, showing that BMS, there's nothing they cannot do. Now, earlier this week, we reported that there would be a Major League Baseball game coming to BMS next summer, and today that became a reality. In conjunction with the track and MLB in front of a crowd, a press conference show extravaganza announced the big game for August 2nd, 2025 between the Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds. And the stars were out as well for the live event. Braves legend Chipper Jones, Reds legend Eric Davis, along with Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, and Ross Chastain as the drivers. The game presented by BuildSubmarines.com will mark the first American or National League game ever played in the state of Tennessee.
We're excited to bring people in Tennessee to a Major League Baseball game for the first time in their state, in their territory. So rather than the fan who comes to our ballparks and comes to our homes, we're bringing a ballpark to them here in Tennessee, and we're excited for that.
Those that have been to the MLB events, it's going to be done in a first-class manner. That's the way they do everything, and we do as well. So we'll make sure that it's a great experience for the fans.
For 20 years, it's carried the phrase, "It's Bristol, baby." And by next summer, it'll be, "It's Bristol baseball, baby." Now, I'm Cole Johnson here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We're going to send it over to Lauren Bradford, who tells us how this game came about.
From Rickwood Field to the Field of Dreams, Major League Baseball is no stranger to putting on unique events. And now, for the first time, an MLB game will be played in the state of Tennessee, right here in the last great Coliseum.
You know, Major League Baseball has done a good job of trying to expand out and reach people, you know, whether it's the Field of Dreams in the Midwest, whether it was Birmingham, you know, last year, and now Bristol this year. It's Bristol, baby. It's awesome. I can't wait.
Bristol might be known for its racing, but it was another event that caught Major League Baseball's eye to put the wheels in motion.
We came on their radar because of Battle at Bristol. Whenever we put on the football game and did that the way that we did, we were able to execute. That was about the same time they were beginning to look at some unique venues for being able to play baseball, and the stars aligned a bit.
With the game now in the making, the next hurdle was picking a pair of teams. With geography in mind, it was the two closest ballparks and the two biggest Tennessee fan bases that landed the job.
I mean, baseball belongs in Tennessee. It's a part of our history. As I said earlier, you know, Willie Mays played for the Chattanooga Choo-Choos in the 40s, and we have a long history here. We don't have a Major League Baseball team. We have fans.
The goal here is to that fans that in Tennessee that would typically have to drive up to Cincinnati or go over to St. Louis or come down to Atlanta or go other parts of the country to get a Major League Baseball game in one of our awesome ballparks can do it right here in the heart of where they live, and they don't have to necessarily drive for this trip.
Right down the road, a venue the locals know and love. This time, the show under the lights will have a different look.
Bristol, as you know from the night race, shines well under the lights, and we have no doubt that it'll do the same for a baseball game here.
Years of planning will all come together on August 2nd as the Reds and Braves bypass the track to step onto the field. Now, here's more from Heather Williams on how that field will come together.
So, Lauren, a lot of people are asking how a baseball field will exactly fit here in Bristol Motor Speedway. You can see I'm standing right now what will be home plate. And believe it or not, getting a field in here is not as complicated as you might think.
After playing a football game in Bristol, things like that are really doable. And knowing that a baseball stadium's a little bit smaller than a football stadium or the football field itself made it more reasonable and doable. Naturally, once we put Colossus up, it was like, okay, how do we fit a stadium in, or how do we fit a ball field in with a center-hung structure? Because the last thing we need to see is baseballs hitting the center-hung structure. So that part was a little bit intriguing, like how would it situate? Will it actually fit in one end or the other? together. But once, working with MLB and their team and some of the renderings they'd done and the studies that they had put forward, it was definitely doable.
And Swift tells me the biggest challenge is actually going to be turning this back into a racetrack in time for the fall race. At the Bristol Motor Speedway, I'm Heather Williams.
It's baseball, baby. Bristol Motor Speedway and Major League Baseball officially announcing the Speedway Classic, an instant iconic game that will see the Cincinnati Reds and Atlanta Braves play inside Bristol Motor Speedway next August. News 5 had several teams covering that event today. We're going to hear from News 5's Casey Getz on the economic impact in just a moment. But first, we start our coverage with Cole Johnson, who brings us the details of the Speedway's newest big event.
Well, that's right, guys. By this time next summer, there will be baseball being played in Bristol, Tennessee. Earlier this week, we reported that there would be Major League Baseball game coming to Bristol Motor Speedway, and today that was confirmed, and it is a reality in front of a bunch of fans and media across the state of Tennessee in conjunction with MLB and Bristol Motor Speedway. There is a game, and it's going to be between the Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds, two very popular teams in this area, meaning that we're going to have a lot of fans here next summer for a big game.
Big day in Tennessee, really exciting for our state, and I'm happy to be here to celebrate with Major League Baseball, with NASCAR, with Tennesseans, and with Americans who are interested in really an iconic, historic event.
The game presented by BuildSubmarines.com will mark the first American or National League game ever played in the state of Tennessee. So for more on how this will affect the economy, here's Casey Getz.
On August 2nd, 2025, the Speedway Classic is coming to Bristol Motor Speedway. The Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds will play the first ever Major League Baseball game in the state of Tennessee, and this will be a home run for the local economy. Twice a year, Bristol Motor Speedway gives a shot in the arm to the local economy when NASCAR comes to town. In 2025, BMS will provide a bonus shot in the arm to the local economy when the Braves and Reds play inside the world's fastest half mile.
It's huge for restaurants, for vendors, up and down State Street or out at the Pinnacle or wherever else, obviously hotels, Airbnbs. It's a wonderful impact to this economy, and I think that's why you saw through this process that the state of Tennessee and Commonwealth of Virginia have been so supportive in leaning in and saying, what can we do to help make sure this comes together?
In the last decade, the state of Tennessee has hosted the NFL Draft in Nashville, along with college football's biggest game ever in Bristol, and soon the state's first ever Major League Baseball game, also in Bristol. It all adds up to big money for the state and the local economy.
So we know it would exceed $100 million in economic positive impact for the region, but that's kind of the start. When you have an event like this, what happens is it showcases your state.
With just less than a year until the latest must-see event at BMS, both sides of the state line in Bristol are ready to showcase all that they have to offer.
Anytime we have a big event, it's great for our local economy. But when you bring in the first of its kind like this, we just can't wait to see what it does for our downtown, all of our businesses. We're very, very excited.
It's going to be huge for Bristol, Virginia as well. We have, a lot of hotels, a lot of downtown businesses, and just for the shopping experience and the visitors coming to town, it's going to be a huge economic impact for Bristol, Virginia as well.
The Speedway Classic will be on August 2nd of 2025. Reporting from inside Bristol Motor Speedway, I'm Casey Getz.
We also got a little taste of how baseball and NASCAR mix. This afternoon, there was a clinic for kids in the community to learn about baseball, and players and executives from Major League Baseball took some hot laps around the track to really get an idea of what Bristol Motor Speedway is all about. Bringing these two sports together has been fun for all involved.
I love tires more than anything else now because the tires really do make the track and the car. So you still got to give kudos to the drivers. Those guys are phenomenal on everything that they do. Sometimes when you watch it on TV, it looks simple and it looks easy, but when you see how much decision and precision that they have to have, it's fantastic.
He goes, they won't let us go fast. And I'm like, man, that seems like it's fast enough. He goes, they had a governor on the car, so they couldn't go but a certain speed. And that just goes to show you, man, it's a really amazing how they handle these cars in such close proximity to other cars, because the rest of America would be freaking out.
Major League Baseball coming to Bristol Motor Speedway. As we first told you on Tuesday, the Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds are set to play inside the last great Coliseum. We now know the date, August 2nd, 2025. Tonight, we have team coverage of that big announcement. News 5's Lauren Bradford is taking a look at how this game came about. News 5's Casey Getz examines the economic impact of the game. And News 5's Heather Williams is looking at how they will get a baseball field inside the Speedway. But let's start with News 5's Cole Johnson, who has more on today's big announcement.
That's right, guys. A massive day here in Bristol, Tennessee, as fans across the state, media across the state came for one big announcement, and that is that there's Major League Baseball coming to Bristol Motor Speedway next summer. The date, August 2nd, 2025, when the Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds will meet, two very popular teams in the Southeast region, coming to clash together at the world's fastest half mile. Now, with that comes a lot of fans probably coming out here to Bristol Motor Speedway on another historic day. In conjunction with the track and MLB, a press conference show extravaganza announced the big game, and the stars were out. The game, presented by BuildSubmarines.com, will mark the first American or National League game ever played in the state of Tennessee.
To see NASCAR and MLB pull together, I think this is a great platform for that. I think our fan bases fit naturally together. But I think we can do a lot of fun things to expose folks to both sides of that.
Both clubs, from the inception of the idea coming up and them playing in it, have really leaned in on what this event is going to be. We've worked with them. We're working with the Braves on All-Star. We've had a Cincinnati All-Star game not too long ago. And so we are very familiar with both clubs, and we have no doubt that together we're going to make some magic here in Bristol.
I really feel like a break from the everyday monotony to come up here and be a part of something as special as this. Every guy on that roster is going to sign up for it, I can promise you.
For 20 years, it's carried the phrase, "It's Bristol, baby." And now next summer, we'll have baseball, baby, here in Bristol. I'm Cole Johnson. For now, we're going to send it over to Lauren Bradford, who has more on how this game came about.
While the Abbey League and high school have gotten used to holding down the fort for baseball in Northeast Tennessee, for the first time, Major League Baseball will debut in the state as the Reds and Braves meet at Bristol Motor Speedway. Transforming the track into a ballpark, Braves legend Chipper Jones says the change of pace will be more than welcome by the players, who will make their way to Bristol on August 2nd of 2025.
I really feel like a break from the everyday monotony to come up here and be a part of something as special as this. Every guy on that roster is going to sign up for it, I can promise you.
As far as the planning goes, the MLB has put on a number of specialty games in recent years. And while MLB execs view them as successes, they say you'll have to be the judge of the Speedway Classic yourself when it comes to town.
Each of those allows us to do things that are important to the league, to grow the sport, to raise our visibility across the various landscapes that sports and entertainment go throughout this country. And so they all have unique spots. I think they all hit the mark, but you'll have to be the definer of that next year when we bring it here to Bristol.
Years of planning finally coming to fruition as the Braves and Reds bypass the track to take the field for the Speedway Classic. Reporting from Bristol Motor Speedway, I'm Lauren Bradford.
When the Braves and Reds play at Bristol Motor Speedway in 2025, the biggest winner may be the local economy. News 5's Casey Getz takes a look at the impact the Speedway Classic will have on our region.
On August 2nd, 2025, the Speedway Classic is coming to Bristol Motor Speedway. The Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds will play the first ever Major League Baseball game in the state of Tennessee, and this will be a home run for the local economy. Twice a year, Bristol Motor Speedway gives a shot in the arm to the local economy when NASCAR comes to town. In 2025, BMS will provide a bonus shot in the arm to the local economy when the Braves and Reds play inside the world's fastest half mile.
It's huge for restaurants, for vendors, up and down State Street or out at the Pinnacle or wherever else. Obviously, hotels, Airbnbs. It's a wonderful impact to this economy, and I think that's why you saw through this process that the state of Tennessee and Commonwealth of Virginia have been so supportive in leaning in and saying, what can we do to help make sure this comes together?
In the last decade, the state of Tennessee has hosted the NFL Draft in Nashville, along with college football's biggest game ever in Bristol, and soon the state's first ever Major League Baseball game, also in Bristol. It all adds up to big money for the state and the local economy.
So we know it would exceed $100 million in economic positive impact for the region, but that's kind of the start. When you have an event like this, what happens is it showcases your state.
The Speedway Classic will be on August 2nd of 2025. Reporting from inside Bristol Motor Speedway, I'm Casey Getz.
One of the biggest questions going into the Speedway Classic for fans is, how will the field work? News 5 sports anchor Heather Williams is standing by at the field to answer that burning question.
A lot of people will actually be surprised how big Bristol Motor Speedway actually is. There's plenty of room here for a baseball field. You can see I'm walking down the first baseline right now. The biggest challenge is going to be some of the other obstacles in the way.
You know, if you'd have asked me probably in 2015 or maybe 14, I would have said, what?
Steve Swift is the dream maker for Bristol Motor Speedway owner Speedway Motorsports.
A lot of gravel comes in, a lot of dirt comes in to create the field.
And after already putting a football field in the middle of BMS, baseball seemed much easier.
Things like that are really doable, and knowing that a baseball stadium's a little bit smaller than a football stadium or the football field itself made it more reasonable and doable.
But there were some unique challenges to getting a football field to fit inside a racetrack.
What you see to the right, which would be the front stretch as we call it, the jump wall, so the pit wall on the cold pit side that separates the cold pits from the hot pits, has to be removed on both front stretch and back stretch. Also, that's unique. Naturally, we have mirror trans, which are must-go fixtures. Those poles have to be removed completely.
The paint in the infield will show the layout where the ballpark will sit between turns 1 and 2. And there lies another challenge.
Portions of the Goodyear building out in right field where the alley is, it's right now it's a little short, so we're going to scoot that back to get us to 375, so half that building comes out. The lower pit walls, 300 feet on one side and 400 feet on the other side come out, and then some of the high wall down the first base side comes out as well.
You know, when we look at the planning stage and what we need to do, it's not so much the lead in and the field build, it's the tear out and getting back to a NASCAR track.
And Swift tells me he's never really surprised when the folks at Bristol Motor Speedway dream up a project like this because they've obviously done many of them before. At the Bristol Motor Speedway, I'm Heather Williams.